Brad is a longtime friend of mine. So I have known him since we first started lifting weights in high school, freshman year. I was kind of showing him what I was learning in the garage with my football coaches. So we used to lift weights in this garage, that was near the football fields that we practiced at in freshman year of high school. And I got Brad, who was my buddy, more of a bookworm type, into weightlifting, and he immediately fell in love with it. He was also the first person to take creatine that I can remember, and he became a little puffy, so definitely not under the right protocols. But nevertheless, just some memories about Brad, and where he's at today is not where we initially took off together in weightlifting. He's definitely become more sedentary in his work life. He's a very go-getter entrepreneur. He's the most intelligent business person I know, and one of the smartest overall human beings in all aspects of life who I get to acquaint with. And so I was pumped when he came to me to help train him physically, because now he's at a stage of life where he's looking to optimize his overall wellness, the bigger picture. I think he's been so focused on starting these businesses that he moved out to California for and has had a lot of success with, that he's let other aspects of lifestyle that promote health fall off a little bit, and that includes sleep, it includes stress balance, and it includes, frankly, like use of substances, so illicit substances. So with Brad, it's about dialing in just the whole bigger picture, and a good entryway for him in that is movement. With that said, the first things that we're focusing on, and I almost made this a prerequisite for his starting to train at all, was journaling sleep habits and behaviors. And it's really helped him. He's made some strides in his behaviors around sleep. Now, of course, since we started together, he's slipped up here and there in terms of, the weekends out, which is expected. And the expectation wasn't for him to stop his social life by any means, but more so when he can be in control on the weekdays, and specifically on training days, to have good quality restful sleep has been a game changer for him, and is something that he continues to focus on. Hydration is another thing. He's well hydrated in general, but does a lot of caffeine like throughout the day, and so that's something he wants to change. And I'm helping him with a more regular cadence of primarily pre 2 p.m. caffeine intake that isn't excessive. And so moving into body composition and then food. So Brad's body composition is definitely that excess visceral body fat that kind of comes along with a partying-ish lifestyle, and not a lot of deliberate exercise. He's not too heavy overweight, but wants to lose body fat around the abdomen. And let me then just get into his eating habits, which are wonky. So since I've known Brad, and as I was going through school in dietetics to become a clinical dietitian, he's always had the more extreme approaches. Ketogenic diet. I think he was even maybe doing carnivorous diet at one point, and has always been one to read a book and latch onto it, if you will, interestingly, because usually he's a pretty analytical, scientific person, and there's such differing opinions about, it's just whichever book you pick up and read, you might latch on to some different diet style that claims to have it all. So definitely all in on ketogenic for a long time. And I think based on what he tells me regarding his sleep, regarding primarily his afternoon energy levels, which he reports just crashing regularly, and like nearly falling asleep behind the wheel kind of a situation. Plus, while considering that he's going to be doing training, physical training, and under our guidance, he can use whole food carbohydrates for sure. Sweet potatoes and fruit, at least some low-hanging fruit, pun intended, for him that would be still healthful and attainable, and foods that he likes. He also likes rice, like brown rice and wild rice. So incorporating that in entry-level amounts, like a cupped handful per meal, at least, just to get him like warmed up to the eating carbohydrates thing. And he's luckily really bought in. He's really bought into the whole process of how the training will look, from where he's at now to improving motor control, to reaching maximum physical potential, to resisting entropy. He's bought in the long term, the whole thing, and he's looking for my guidance, which is awesome, and believes me that, you know, he won't get a detriment to his performance in his neurological performance, his cognitive performance, if he starts eating carbohydrates. And so far, because now it's been a little bit of time since I introduced that for him, he's experiencing performance improvement, I would say, which would be expected. He also only eats, going back to when we first started, like 2 meals a day, if that, sometimes 1 meal a day. And so I brought up to him that it's really challenging to meet your total daily energy requirements from food when you're only eating 1 meal a day, unless that's a very, very big meal, which he also reports in like gastrointestinal discomfort. So that would be a challenge to eat his required energy intake at 1 meal. And so definitely trying to get him eat more overall food, because he can just skip breakfast, lunch all the time and eat a decent sized dinner, but it's loaded like with things with like guacamole, but it's not enough energy. It's not enough calories. And it's not enough protein and carbohydrates and everything that he needs. So we are starting to eat like an 11 a.m. meal and a 2 p.m. meal and a dinner, and he's working on it. And it is just, again, kind of similar to another client, Doug, who I have a video on here. Structured meals, like have a structured meal here, a structured meal here, and a structured meal here. And it doesn't have to be where lunch is this big carbohydrate load. It can happen, you know, if you want to eat more carbohydrates with dinner, since he's training after lunch typically anyway, that's fine. And then, you know, just having some, like with fruit with lunch, so he doesn't feel lethargic or anything, which is something he's kind of afraid of. So just easing him into it again. And then just including enough protein, 20 to 30 grams of protein at least with breakfast. He likes eggs, so that's what we're going with. He likes Greek yogurt. He's not a picky eater. He loves vegetables. He eats all whole food. I mean, the kid doesn't eat any processed food, really. I mean, sometimes, you know, he goes crazy at a dinner, Mexican food with friends, but I mean, good for him, whatever. Like, in the bigger picture, he's not eating enough, so it's fine. Anyway, I'll move on to his training and how that will help him achieve a more athletic body type and overall lean out. Okay, so full body for Brad. He's going 3 days a week, and then 2 days a week he has a Peloton. So I want him doing like MAP 10, MAP 9 on the Peloton, going 60-minute intervals to start, just sustainable conversational pace. Nothing crazy. And then he lives in California, so I also encourage him to go for walks throughout the day. And he seems pretty keen on it. He just wants to move every day kind of thing and go all in a way, but in a controlled way. So at least 2 days a week of deliberate Peloton 60-minute easy rides, and then daily walking out in the sun. At least a half hour is what I suggested to him. And then for For lifting full body, so each day will consist of squat, pull, hinge, press, and then some lunge core. 3 supersets typically, high reps, high time under tension, high volume, progressing in 8-week cycles with testing phases every 2 phases or so. And then, or testing weeks, every 2 phases or so. I would like to hear your thoughts on testing after every phase, something I want to learn more about there. And my Coach Bree, doesn't do that really. We test a little more infrequently, and I kind of like it. So deload weeks, if not testing weeks, every 8 weeks or so. And so squat, pull, hinge, press, high volume. He needs core stability. He needs mobility. So we're sticking to the basics. We're sticking to goblet squats. We're sticking to a 3-point dumbbell row. We're sticking to Arnold presses, Philly presses, strict press, overhead, single arm to fix imbalances, single leg to fix imbalances. He can handle the range of motion of a split squat, yet is unstable in it. So lunges, step ups, some of those hip stability, strength movements, things that will develop his core strength and make him a more sturdy athlete, in that he's trying to eventually lift heavy weights. His goal is to essentially be fit and strong and big, put on muscle mass. And so we're just going to spend a lot of time in motor coordination in the basic foundational lifts, even starting with like a suitcase deadlift, so that he can work on just that lower body hamstring range of motion, and deadlifts, and then just core stability movements. Honestly, front planks, side planks, reverse planks, and just building his experience in controlling weight at very deliberate tempo, high time under tension, high volume stuff. So that's the plan right now, and we will adjust as Brad learns and continues on his fitness journey.